respected Miran Sahib, Chairman of the IKHLAS Foundation and Managing Director of the Professional Couriers, Brother Nawaz Kani, Member of Parliament from Ramanathapuram constituency, Mr. Nisar Ahmed, IPS from Bangalore, the General Secretary of IKHLAS Academy, Dr. Ismail Seth, Brother Khalid, who is the Treasurer of IKHLAS Foundation, as well as various other office bearers, Brother PM Bashir Ahmed Sahib, former retired IAS officer, who gave a very good lecture for the IAS aspirants, and also the Director of IKHLAS Foundation, Dr. Sadaqatullah, and he himself should be an inspiration for all the IAS aspirants, because coming from a remote village of Rajakambiram in Ramanathapuram, or maybe now in Sivagangai district, he rose to become a very high official in the Reserve Bank of India. And my dear brothers and sisters attending this course, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May Almighty's peace and blessings be showered on all of you. It is really pleasure to talk to aspirants, young aspirants who wanted to become civil servants of this country. This COVID pandemic had, of course, disturbed our lives in many ways. But there is an Islamic saying which says that even in a calamity, there will be some goodness. And the goodness in COVID-19 time is that it has helped to bring all the people literally into a very small village that is this internet world. And that is how IKHLAS Foundation, IKHLAS Academy had conducted a very good course, made people utilize their time in this lockdown period. And I congratulate all of you who had attended the course and who had attended, who had got very top rankings here. And I wish that you continue this course, and one day we should be talking with you as IAS officers or IPS officers or IRS officers. When the brother introduced me, he told me that I am from Udangudi. I was born in Udangudi in Thoothukudi district. And what he forgot to mention was that Udangudi had produced many academicians, many entrepreneurs, many writers, and of course many politicians too. But many of you may not be aware that our village, Udangudi, had produced two very exemplary IAS officers. One of them is no more with us. And if he had been alive, maybe he would have become the Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu government. His name was M.H. Jalal. He was the son of the Imam of the Masjid of our Mohalla in Periyathiru, in Kutpapalli Thiru, Juma Mosque Street in Kalangudi in Udangudi. And he was born to the Imam in a very big family. And M.H. Jalal studied, underwent his school in TTDA higher secondary school, high school rather, in Udangudi itself. And do you know how did he study? It was not the world where we had electricity. It was not the world we had internet to browse and find out some facts which we wanted. It was not the world where we can connect with our friends instantly. He used to study under the street light provided by the Panchayat Union. At that time it was only an Urachi, town, now it is a town Panchayat. And there was poverty. The imams, you know, even now they are paid very less. And those days you can recollect, or you can guess what would have been the salary for the imam for a very big family consisting of about half a dozen children. But Jalal toiled He studied under the street light. He studied with a hungry stomach. Later on, he joined St. John's College in Palayangotte. Through his hard work, he was a gold medalist in MA English Literature. He stood first in the Madurai Kamaraj University. After finishing his post-graduation, he was one of the first faculty members of Qaida-Millat Men's College, which was just then inaugurated in Medavakkam in Chennai. He was heading the English department. Then he wrote the civil service examination, cracked it, was one of the toppers, was allotted to the Tamil Nadu cadre, and he was also the collector of Trichy district. Unfortunately, during his service, at a very young age of 35 years, he had to leave this world. So this was an inspirational story. The other IAS officer is Brother Naseem Ahmed, and he is an Himachal Pradesh cadre. He is also from Udanbudi. I'm not just saying this for telling about my native place, but only I'm pointing it out that hardships, poverty, many things was not a stumbling block if you have the will and courage to succeed. Dr. Sadaqatullah is an excellent example of that. M.H. Jalal is an excellent example of that. And I'm going to tell you some other examples also. You would have known that this year, the earlier speakers were finding out of how many Muslims succeeded, but I'm not going to tell about the Muslim story. Of course, that is also there. What I wanted to tell you was about a girl from Madurai. Her name was Purana Sundari, and she was a visually handicapped girl. This visually impaired 25-year-old girl from Madurai secured a rank of 286 in her fourth attempt, and she had won tremendous praise from the people on Twitter, and her story has been shared by former cricketer Muhammad Kaif. 25-year-old visually impaired Kaif writes that Purana Sundari from TN beat the odds and cracked the UPSC exam. Never stop chasing your dreams. These are the words of Muhammad Kaif. I had personally come across an IFS officer, Mr. Nandakumar. He is a top officer in the Chennai Income Tax Department. Few years before, when I was an MLA of the Ramanathapuram constituency, I had a chance to meet him. Then he was asking me about my constituency and was telling many things about the constituency. Then he said, "Do you know my story? When I was studying 8th standard, my parents asked me to stop studying and go to work. And I had to obey my parents' order because there was a lot of poverty there in our home. I worked in a mechanic shop, and at the same time, I wanted to pursue my studies. I wrote the 10th examination as a private student, passed the examination. Remember, a boy working in a roadside mechanic shop, toiling throughout the day for bread, and then studying in the night, cracking 10th standard, then 12th standard, then graduation, and finally, he was a civil servant. He is a very upright officer with the Indian Revenue Service. One more example I wanted to quote here is Sivaguru Prabhakaran. He is an IAS officer. He had a rank of 101 in the previous UPSC examination. He is from Melatangadu village in Pattukotte in Tanjavur district. You know, there was, many of you may not be knowing that there was a very big tragedy in Kumbakonam where a school was burnt along with the children. Then at that time, the present health secretary, Mr. J. Radhakrishnan, you will be finding him in the television screen, a very active, agile IAS officer. He has said that he was inspired by J. Radhakrishnan and he wanted to become an IAS officer. His father was an alcoholic, and it was a big family. This Prabhakaran, he worked as a mill operator, a farm laborer. He came to Chennai, and he wanted to write some examination, and he stayed in the platform of St. Thomas Mount railway station. He says, when I was in school, I need a book, and we were very poor. Early in the morning, around 4 a.m., I was crying, worrying about how to do homework assigned without the book. My mom saw me crying, and on knowing that it is for the book, she immediately set off with me carrying a lantern. We walked for over a kilometer, and she got me the book. Says Prabhakaran. Then he, during his training in IIT, that was the time for 4 months. He says that we used to sleep at St. Thomas Mount railway station. I didn't know anyone here in Chennai. The coaching classes were on Saturday and Sunday, and had no place to stay. I used to travel by train and reach on Sunday, attend classes, and then take shelter at the platform where I used to study. The following day, I used to go to class and then return home. I am telling these stories, my dear aspirants, to say that how Ikhlas has made you everything simple. Not paying 2,35,000. You have been asked to part away with only rupees 20,000 for the entire course. And besides that, our benevolent, philanthropic management of Ikhlas says that they are going to give discount about that. I'm sure that most of you are not in such a pitiable situation as Prabhakaran or Nandakumar or Jalal, whose story I had said, or even Purana Sundari, who lost both her eyes. But the inspiration led them, the hard work led them to become civil servants. The last example I want to say is an IAS officer from Kerala. He was born in Kondoti, in Edavanapana, near Kondoti in Malappuram district. His father died when he was 11. His mother admitted him along with his siblings in an orphanage, a Muslim orphanage. From the Muslim orphanage, he studied the school, and from there, he wrote the examination, the Kerala examination, and he was selected to work as a clerk in a Grama Panchayat. Then he finally cracked the UPSC examination. So from being an orphan, he was an IAS officer. He says, UPSC, apart from being most coveted, is also a merit-oriented examination. If a boy like me from Kerala can defy all odds to crack it, anybody can. Don't lose hope. If you don't clear it in your first attempt, India is a very big country, land full of opportunities. If you put in all the hard work and perseverance, you will eventually get it. So don't lose your voice in a sea of noise. Follow your drummer. I just wanted to wish each one of you the very best to chase your dreams. These are not my words. It are the words of Muhammad Sihab, IAS. My dear brothers and sisters, this is a very golden opportunity. As my colleague Nawaz Kani MP said, if you are going to become an MPA or an MLA or even a town councillor, you can serve only for 5 years. Even if we do good service, sometimes people throw it out, as happened to me in 2016. But when you become a civil servant, that is not for mere 5 years. As our most respected Bashir Ahmad Sahib said, work for 2 years, and for 30 years, you will be in a pinnacle. So use this opportunity May Allah bless you. This is a God-given opportunity. Nobody else will give you on a platter to train themselves. Ikhlas is giving you that opportunity. Make use of it. And உண்மையான அதிகாரம் ஒரு நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினராக, ஒரு சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினராக, ஒரு உள்ளாட்சி மன்ற உறுப்பினராக ஆவதில் நிச்சயமாக இருக்கின்றது. ஆனால் அது நிரந்தரம் அல்ல. 5 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு பிறகு நீங்கள் சிறப்பான சேவை செய்தாலும் மக்கள் உங்களை தேர்தலிலே தூக்கி வீசிவிடலாம். ஆனால் நீங்கள் 2 ஆண்டுகள் கடுமையாக பாடுபட்டு IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS போன்ற மத்திய அரசு பணிகளில் நீங்கள் தேர்வு பெற்றீர்கள் என்றால் மக்களுக்கு அந்த அதிகாரத்துடன் மக்களுக்கு நேர்மையாக சேவை செய்யக்கூடிய ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய வாய்ப்பாக இருக்கின்றது. பார்வை இழந்தவர்கள், வறுமையின் பிடியிலே வாழ்ந்தவர்கள், ரயில்வே பிளாட்பாரத்துல உறங்கி IAS தேர்வுல தேர்ச்சியானவர்கள், ஒரு ஆதரவற்றோர் கூடத்திலே படித்து IAS ஆக தேர்வானவங்க, இவங்களுடைய உதாரணங்கள் எல்லாம் சொன்னேன். இறைவன் உங்களுக்கு மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு வாய்ப்பை கொடுத்திருக்கிறான். பெரிய விளம்பரங்கள், IAS ஆக வேண்டுமா எங்கள் இடத்திற்கு வாங்கள், உங்களை நாங்கள் IAS ஆக உருவாக்குறோம். எவ்வளவு காசு போட்டாங்க. டெல்லிக்கு போய் படிக்கணும்னா 2,35,000 ரூபாய் அந்த நிறுவனத்துக்கு கொடுக்கணும். அப்புறம் டெல்லியில போய் நீங்க தங்குறது, உங்க உணவு, மற்ற வசதியெல்லாம் இருக்கு. சென்னையில வந்து படிக்கணுமா 1,50,000. ஆனால் இந்த சமுதாயத்தின் பால் அக்கறை கொண்டு இந்த சமுதாயத்தின் உயர்வுக்காக தனவந்தர்களால் உருவாக்கப்பட்டிருக்கின்ற நமது இஹ்லாஸ் அறக்கட்டளை வெறும் 20,000 ரூபாய்க்கு உங்களுக்கு அந்த பயிற்சியை தலை சிறந்த பயிற்சியாளர்களை வைத்து கொடுக்கிறது. எனவே அன்புக்குரியவர்களே, இந்த வாய்ப்பை சிறப்பாக பயன்படுத்துங்கள். இறைவன் அருள் புரிவான். கடுமையாக உழையுங்கள். 2 வருட உழைப்பு உங்களை 30 ஆண்டுகள் மக்களை சேவை செய்யக்கூடிய சிறப்பானவர்களாக ஆகவும் எல்லாம் வல்ல அல்லாஹ் தஆலா உங்கள் முயற்சிகளை வெற்றியாக்குவானாக என்று பிரார்த்தித்து இந்த நல்ல வாய்ப்பை தந்தமைக்காக இஹ்லாஸ் அறக்கட்டளையினுடைய அனைத்து சகோதரர்களுக்கும் நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்து விடைபெறுகின்றேன். நன்றி.